Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call and find out what's for dinner at 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. And a big welcome in to everybody listening in on all of our network affiliates and our independents from coast to coast. That would be radio and television. Big welcome in to everybody on Hotel TV in all Nielsen rated markets, as well as Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Folks, make sure you check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group where you could post your favorite recipes, get some great restaurant tips, and all kinds of neat stuff. Have some fun. People from all around the world are on that Chicago Food Favorites group page. Make sure you check it out, folks. All right. I wonder if anybody over in Ireland or the UK is. Actually, I know they are, because actually I'm the administrator for it. So here's something interesting. From Uncrowned, the Uncrowned staff wrote, Conor McGregor has been dumped by proper number 12 whiskey and multiple UK retail giants in the wake of sexual assault verdict that just came across recently. This guy, can he just go away and enjoy his mega millions of dollars? I mean, look, the fallout from Conor McGregor's sexual assault verdict continues to mount, and multiple retail giants in the UK and Ireland announced they were dropping any product related to the former UFC two-division champion following the Dublin court verdict that found McGregor liable for sexual assault against Nikita Hand. Now, Musgrave, a retail conglomerate that includes UK and Irish brands SuperValu, Centra, Daybreak, and Mace, among many others, issued a notice to store operators delisting all brands associated with McGregor, including his famed proper number 12 Irish whiskey and forged Irish stout beverages. Retail giants Tesco, Cost Cutter, and Carryout also joined in dropping all products related to Conor McGregor. In addition, proper number 12 Irish whiskey announced that it no longer intends to use McGregor's name or likeness in its marketing. As a matter of fact, the company told the Irish Independent in a statement, quote, since 2021, Proximo Spirits has been the 100% owner of proper number 12 Irish whiskey. Going forward, we do not plan to use McGregor's name and likeness in the marketing in the brand, close quote. So, of course, as of this handy-dandy little article, the official website for proper number 12 appears to have been taken down. Well, boy, with the mighty fall, I tell you. And, of course, the flurry of news follows an announcement the day previous, of course, from the video game developer IO Interactive that the company has cut ties with McGregor, quote, effective immediately, close quote, and has removed content featuring the former UFC champion from its video game Hitman World of Assassins. McGregor was found liable for sexual assaulting Hand in Dublin about 6 years ago. In case you don't know, he's been ordered to pay Hand a total of £248,603.60 in damages Actually, that's not pounds. That's in euros, folks. Nonetheless, no, it isn't pounds. Nonetheless, in damages as a result of that verdict. And so, an executive director of the Rape Crisis Center, Ireland, called for a boycott of McGregor's alcohol brands following the verdict. And a solidarity march for Han took place recently in Dublin's city center. Now, Conor is 36, has not competed for a few years, almost 3.5 years. And you may remember that's when Dustin Poirier broke his leg. And of course, the UFC has not commented on Conor McGregor being found liable for sexual assault. I wonder why that is. Maybe could it be for future promotions, future something or other? He does have some fighting skills, and maybe he has recovered. Yeah, maybe he has, I don't know, put some of this stuff behind him. I don't know. Is the U.S. market a different temperature as far as marketability? Do they have a different temperature on him than they do back home? That's the big question. And so the throat clears are all about, will we see excuses or will we see a forgiving American audience? Because, there are certain people that have had certain events somewhat similar to this in the professional sports world that it appears as they may have been brushed under the carpet a little bit. Now, of course, that deserves a big round of boos, and it's only because in this country, the dollar runs the world. The dollar runs most people, and unfortunately, most people dance when it comes to money. And so is Conor McGregor going to resurface on a bigger scale, maybe after, 6, 12 months? I mean, look at it this way. We saw that with Deshaun Watson with all the chaos around him. I mean, he wasn't convicted of anything that I know of, but Deshaun Watson sure has a lot of payoff situation going on. And in fact, it has gone on. And apparently there's still other cases or whatnot, or concerns, we'll say, that are around and floating about the city of Cleveland, the city where the river catches on fire, if you know what I mean. So if the National Football League fans, or the Cleveland Browns fans, can turn a blind eye to what happened with Deshaun Watson, just using that as an example, I'm not really sure that's a fair example, but it is dealing with a similar sexual scenario. Then why wouldn't the Americans say, you know what? Let's go ahead and forgive Conor McGregor. We know that maybe there has been some chaos in his life, but everybody deserves a second chance. In Deshaun Watson's case, maybe it was about a 30th chance or something. I don't really know. But then again, Deshaun Watson wasn't convicted of anything. But if he wasn't convicted of anything, why were there payoffs? Why were there payoffs by the Houston Texans, basically to get this guy out of town? Why were there payoffs from a legal team here and there or whatnot? Why did that all happen? What's different in these United States of America than over in the conservative UK? That's what I would like to know. Because you saw the retailers just step up, say, sorry, Conor McGregor, we're not going to carry anything with your name on it, your likeness, nothing, period. And so do you think that would be a worldwide scenario, or would it just be over in the UK? I don't know. That's a very interesting question. And in fact, it's almost as interesting as some of the, the ongoings about the NBA. People say the NBA is really, really losing viewership. And I'm one of those guys. As a matter of fact, Outkick had stated the NBA ratings continue to tank hard, down 28% on the four-letter network. And that was published just recently. As a matter of fact, the ratings have continued to tank through the first month of the 2024-25 season in the NBA. Viewership for the games on the four-letter network, its lead broadcast partner, is down 28% year over year. The league was already coming off a disappointing season in which its playoff viewership decreased by 12%. That's a whopping number, especially with all those TV contracts. So, of course, Commissioner Adam Silver's excuse this week that the ratings drop is a byproduct of the election and World Series. Now, that was just a few weeks back. So excuses are like, you know what, we all have them. Anyway, but it doesn't suffice. The NBA has been consistently losing viewers for nearly a decade. As a whole, the NBA has lost around 45% of its viewerships in the last dozen years. And the declines aren't not new. Look, they're just getting worse. Basketball Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal blames the fall on too much three-point shooting. And actually, I agree with part of that, absolutely. And he even said, quote, "I have a theory that the ratings are down because everybody's running the same plays. I don't mind Golden State back in the day shooting threes, but every team is not a three-point shooter," close quote. Now, of course, the founder of this Outkick organization blames the league's politics, calling the NBA, quote, "the original Bud Light," close quote. I love that. Anyway, and he says, quote, "The most consequential number boycott of the 21st century didn't come from the drinker's rejection of a beer. It came from sports, in particular the NBA, which has destroyed its brand with a large percentage of American sporting public embracing woke, political, far-left messaging in its games." He continues on with, "So why haven't you heard about this despite the overwhelming data I'm about to lay out for you? It's simple. The American sports media is so far left-wing that they have refused to share the data right in front of their eyes. The American sports media overwhelmingly supports far-left political messaging, and they love it because it reflects their own ideals. The vast majority of the sports media wants it to be filled with left-wing BS, etc. and so forth." Back in a minute. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call
714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. And welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio, television, and streaming medium platforms. Big welcome into our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD. Thanks for joining us over there, War Eagle. Big hello to our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, the 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide, who absolutely got pummeled by Oklahoma, which I must say was a little bit of a shocker. But then again, sorry, folks, it's always a happy day when Alabama finds the other side of the win column being the losing column. All right, that one's for you, Auburn. All right, so in the last segment, talking about the NBA ratings and why they continue to tank hard, down 28% on ESPN by Outkick. And there were some really interesting quotes here, and I had gone through some of the quotes about what the founder, in fact, of Outkick had said, and I'll just repeat it so you can pick up where we left off. He had said, quote, "The most consequential consumer boycott of the 21st century didn't come from drinkers' rejecting of a beer. It came from sports, in particular the NBA, which has destroyed its brand with a large percentage of the American sporting public by embracing woke, political, far-left messaging in its games. So why haven't you heard about this despite the overwhelming data I'm about to lay out for you," says Mr. Clay. It's simple. The American sports media is so far left-wing that they have refused to share the data right in front of their eyes. The American sports media overwhelmingly supports far left-wing political messaging. They love it because it reflects their own ideals. The vast majority of the sports media wants sports to be filled with left-wing politics. They see it as an affirmation of their own personal beliefs and applaud it, close quote. Now, Outkick says others blame players for taking games off in the name of load management. In other sites, LeBron fatigue. Yeah, LeBron fatigue. And the league's failure to establish new stars. Gilbert Arenas, who has an obvious issue with white people, attributes the NBA's ratings crash to the number of white European players starring across the league. Mind you, this is according to Outkick, not me. Fans at local bars might blame the minimal number of teams that can actually compete for a championship on an annual basis. And of course, Mr. Clay says they are right. All of them, well, except for Gilbert Arenas. And the league is too political. The regular season doesn't matter. Players don't take games seriously. Small market teams struggle to compete. Star power is lacking. Players lose MVPs because they're white, thanks to Kendrick Perkins. And the product is boring. What about cord cutting? Nope. This is all according to Outkick. And they say cord cutting affects the NFL just as much. So for this season, the NFL has averaged 17.3 million viewers, its highest average since 2015. This past World Series was the highest rated since 2017. College football is surging. So is the UFC. Over 108 million live global viewers tuned into the fight with Tyson and Jake Paul. Even the WNBA finals set an ESPN record in viewership. Sports are more popular than ever. The NBA is the outlier. And now Bobby Burek, an influencer, of course, says on X, "In 2019, I was one of the only people who would acknowledge the NBA was beginning to decline. The fanboys like so-and-so called for me to be fired. 5 years later, the NBA has continued to tank. NFL, CFB, UFC, and MLB are all on the rise. The NBA is now a niche sport." Clay Travis says, in response, NBA ratings continue to tank, down 28% on ESPN to all viewers to all-time lows. So far this season, maybe LeBron, Popovich, and Kerr need to start celebrating dunks with the Trump dance. Woke sports destroyed the NBA fan base. Now, Outkick finishes with, NBA fanboys will counter and cite the league's new $77 billion rights deal with Disney, NBA, and NBC, and Amazon. It's true that the NBA cashed in on its rights negotiations, but that doesn't mean the partners didn't vastly overpay. Based on the ratings trends, they did. In fact, according to the Wall Street Journal, there are already executives inside NBC Universal who believe the company paid too much, $2.5 billion a year, for a product in decline. Back in 2017, ESPN pundits like Smith, Jones, Rose predicted that the NBA would surpass the NFL within a decade. Instead, the NBA has fallen closer to the NHL in terms of popularity than it has closed the gap on the NFL. No offense. The NFL is doing well. The NHL is a niche sport, but is excelling, and the NHL is passing the NBA. I give the astounding round of applause to the NBA to the NFL, and of course to the NHL. I'm a really big hockey fan, and I love to see the wheels come off here. Now, Gilbert Arenas was mentioned earlier, and we're going to go ahead and just chime in on him for just a minute. Now, basketballnetwork.net says, Gilbert Arenas reveals the real reason why the NBA viewership is down. Okay, he says, it's expensive to watch the game now. But that's not what the other organization, Outkick, had said, now is it? So we'll go on with what Basketball Network says. The NBA experienced a significant drop in its TV ratings at the start of the season. The decline isn't new, as the figures were beginning to falter as early as last season's playoffs. However, the drop had been more alarming after the first couple of weeks of the current campaign, with experts and analysts pointing to different causes. Former Washington Wizards All-Star guard Gilbert Arenas has a simple but logical theory about the NBA's current issue, and he said, quote, it's expensive to watch now. They used to be free. You got to buy cable for your own team. Then you got to buy the League Pass to get the League Pass stuff, close quote. Well, partly true, partly not. Watching the NBA, according to Basketball Network, is an expensive and complicated experience. The NBA League Pass is a direct-to-consumer product that enables fans to watch games live and on demand. However, it's a subscription-based and recently increased its annual price by $10 to $109.99 for the entire season, or $159.99 for the premium version. The problem is that it has local blackout restrictions. For example, if you're a Laker fan and you won't be able to stream their games with League Pass while in and around Los Angeles. So to watch Mr. James and company, you have to subscribe to cable, which costs around $60 plus a month for basic cable, by the way. Meanwhile, cable TV airs only the local teams and nationally televised games. There are also streaming services like Sling and Direct and Stream and Fubo and Hulu and Max and all that other, but they all come at a price too. So, Gilbert Arenas says, quote, so what ends up happening is the distribution of games now, and they're harder to find. That's a problem. We have to find it. It used to be available. The NBA, money-wise, perfect for you, but the viewers, you're bleeped. Close quote. So, Shaquille O'Neal has a different opinion. And of course, as I stated in the previous, Shaq says, hey, look, there's too many threes being shot out, and everybody seems to be playing that kind of game. Not everybody can play that kind of game. And so the market's saturated at the same time, and really there's a lack of stars. There's a lack of excitement. There's a lack of go-to guys in the league that will carry the league. Back when Magic and Michael and Larry played, you had guys that could carry the league on their own. It's a very different game. They played defense. There was strategy. It wasn't 3 points and dunks. No, there was actually mid-range shooting. You don't even see the mid-range jump shot for the most part in the NBA anymore. And honestly, it's a little embarrassing. And what's worse, when you think of the NBA, you're like, well, hey, here now is this NBA Cup thing, right? So the whole NBA Cup, 2024, for example, NBA Cup is an ongoing multi-stage basketball tournament being played during the 24-25 season. It's the second edition of the NBA Cup, then under the working name NBA in-season tournaments. All 30 teams participate, each playing 4 regular season games that count towards the tournament's group and standings. All games in the knockout round except for the championship game also count towards the regular season standings. And the tournament semifinals and championships will be played right here in Las Vegas on the Strip, just like the stupid Formula One that nobody liked in the first place. The NBA is grasping to do anything they can to stop the hemorrhaging of ratings, because right now the NBA is in big trouble. And you can't blame anything other than the crap that they allowed these players to do, their position in politics, and frankly, they're overcharging everybody. It's a colossal embarrassment. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest, our recorded shows, which are podcasts. Although we don't do a podcast, we do a regular TV and radio show that is regulated by the FCC. That's why we don't have bad language in here, and we don't fix it in the mix. I mean, whatever's out there, folks, it's out there. It is what it is. But anyway, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com's store page as well. Hey, listen. A shameless plug for the Sports Circus. Lots of great items for Christmas time, all those special Christmas gifts, and for yourself as well. Maybe get yourself something nice. Pick up a hat, a knitted hat, a ball cap, a fleece coat, a sweatshirt, a hoodie, sweatpants, a coffee mug, a travel mug, all kinds of neat stuff. Check it out. Thesportscircus.com. Hit store. Lots of great items there. And when you submit your order, just make sure you tell them that Ringmaster Sal from the Sports Circus sent you. Yes! I'll make sure you get your discount. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know you are. TV and radio, streaming. Big thanks to Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, all participants for joining us here as well. So, shifting over to college football. Why? Because we can. We have to think about who's going to go bowling, right? So there's probably about just over a dozen teams still need a win in the final week of the regular season to secure a bowl game spot. And of course, with 1 week to go in the college football regular season, 77 teams already postseason eligible, which is kind of funny to imagine. I mean, are there that many bowl games? Counting the 12-team playoff, there are 82 postseason berths available with 35 non-playoff bowls, 35 folks, at the end of the season. The number of bowl-eligible teams is guaranteed to be no lower than 79 at the end of the regular season, with 2 games featuring 5 and 6 teams. Yes, 5 and 6 teams in week 14. That's right, week 14 of the NCAA football season. Remember they used to play 11 games? I remember they used to play a little bit less. And it's likely that there will be more bowl-eligible teams than there are bowl spots available once this weekend of rivalries is over. So right now, it appears that 16 teams are sitting on 5 wins ahead of the final week of the regular season. Not all of them will become bowl-eligible, but one or more of them could win a 6th game in week 14 and find themselves out of the postseason entirely if there are more 6-win teams than there are bowl spots. Here's a quick look at the teams that need to win in the final week of the regular season to have a shot at a bowl game as we clear our throats. All odds are from BetMGM, which I feel happen to be a little suspect. We'll kind of leave it like that, if you know what I mean. Anyway, App State. There's a pretty good squad here. Never mind the record. The Mountaineers are the only team in this group that isn't 5 and 6 to cancel a game earlier this season because of the hurricane. Georgia Southern needs to win and hope Marshall loses to make the Sun Belt title game. App State will probably win this game. App State should be in the bowl picture. They shouldn't be penalized because they had to cancel a game because of the hurricane. Auburn is plus 11.5. Let's see what War Eagles got. Don't ever discount what can happen in the Iron Bowl, folks. Look, we've seen some weird ones. We've seen some wild ones, especially at what happened in Week 13 as Auburn took down Texas A&M in 4 overtimes. We still aren't that, this is according to Yahoo, they say we still aren't that bullish on Auburn's chances of making a bowl, however. Well, look, if Oklahoma can beat Alabama, Auburn could beat Alabama. I think Auburn plays a little bit better brand of defense than Oklahoma. I didn't even know Oklahoma played any defense in the first place. Nonetheless, Auburn is plus 11.5 currently. And we're going to get to the odds in just a moment here and all the others too. Cincinnati and TCU. Now, the Bearcats have been stuck on 5 wins for a month. And Cincinnati, of course, enters the season finale on a 4-game losing streak with losses to Colorado, West Virginia, Iowa State, and Kansas State. Look, those are some pretty decent squads there. TCU has a very slim hope of making the Big 12 title game. likely TCU is going to win that game. Coastal Carolina, another one of these teams, the Chanticleers, kind of like these guys. The battle at the bottom of the Sun Belt Division has some postseason meaning, though. Coastal has lost 5 of its last 6, but has a shot at a bowl game thanks to 3 non-conference wins. Eastern Michigan plays Western Michigan. And of course, kind of arrived at our first game where one team will get bowl eligible and the other will be done. And yes, both games are rivalries. Kansas and Baylor. Boy, I tell you what, Kansas belongs in a bowl game. They've had some really big wins. The Jayhawks are one of the hottest teams in college football after they become the first team with a losing record to knock off ranked opponents in 3 straight weeks. Can Kansas get a 4th win to make a bowl game? I think they're going to. Louisiana Monroe is playing Louisiana. Now, the job that Brian Vincent has done in Monroe is remarkable, but his team also is on a 5-game losing streak, and 3 of those losses have been by 3 touchdowns at least. How in the world is Michigan State even in the conversation? I'll never know. They're playing Rutgers. Sparty snapped a 3-game losing streak with a win over the doormat of the Big Ten. But this is a team that has lost 6 of its last 8 games. Rutgers got its heart broken with a late home loss to Illinois in the previous week. Rutgers is a better team. How is Michigan State favored? I'll never know. New Mexico and Hawaii. Look, head-to-head in a neutral stadium, neutral location, New Mexico is a better squad. But when teams go to Hawaii, they just seem to forget that they have to play a football game. And New Mexico opened up the season 0-4, but finds itself with a chance to get into a bowl game. But a trip to Hawaii, as I just stated, is always nice and always, well, a little bit questionable. Let's leave it like that. North Carolina State is playing North Carolina. We're going to get to those guys in a minute with Mac Brown. Now, it's been a rough season for the Pac, but don't count them out against Carolina. Listen, Carolina is not playing good ball, and that's the reason for the Mac Jones firing. So NC State may find themselves in the winner's circle. North Texas, the Mean Green, travels to Philadelphia to play Temple, and the Owls are only playing for pride at this point because they're 2-5 in the AAC and 3-8 overall. The Mean Green enter the game on a 5-game losing streak as well. These are 2 teams in a tailspin. And of course, there is a bowl-eligible spot on the line. Doesn't mean they're going to get to a bowl game. It just means a win for North Texas means they could get in. Oregon State, part of the Pac-2, they are at Boise State. This should be a very high-scoring game, despite Oregon does play defense. The Beavers are the biggest underdog of any 5-6 team entering the final week. And, of course, that's about an 18.5-point dog state. At least Oregon State can claim a Pac-12 title after beating Washington State last week. That's ridiculous. But Ashton Jeanty is going to have a very big game against Oregon State. This guy should win the Heisman Trophy. I don't even see how he doesn't. Virginia and Virginia Tech. Both the Cavs and the Hokies are 5-6, and the Cavs have lost their last 5 out of 6 after starting 4-1. And honestly, the Cavaliers are really in a terrible tailspin. This is Vatek's game. They really ought to be able to beat this team. And besides, they're a 7 points favorite. And of course, Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan, we talked about, Wisconsin and Minnesota. Now, there's a lot of losing streaks among teams looking for that 6th win, but Wisconsin is also among them. They have lost 4 straight and haven't won since beating Northwestern 23-3. Minnesota had a game stolen from them from the referees, in my opinion, against Penn State with that 27-26 loss, or was it 26-25? In any event, Minnesota is a very good squad, especially at home. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they're playing for one of those coveted border rivalry trophies. And honestly, Minnesota should be able to win this game by double digits. They are a very good team, and I don't understand how in the world that Minnesota could lose to Wisconsin, outside of the fact, well, it's a rivalry game, blah, 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 blah. Well, look, Wisconsin's pretty good at home at Camp Randall, but Minnesota's really good at home in the outdoors, in the elements, and there's probably a blizzard playing up there, so both teams should feel right at home. But honestly, folks, Minnesota should be there, and they should get a bowl bid because they're certainly good enough to play with very good squads. I mean, literally, they came within a play of knocking out fourth-ranked Penn State in the previous week, and they're just playing sound football. It is what it is. Anyway, folks, that's how the bowl-eligible 16 wrap up this segment here on the Sports Circus. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Mack Brown on what happened with him and North Carolina. And honestly, look, I went to a rival of North Carolina's, and I just don't see, and I'm trying to be impartial here, I think it's a big mistake for Carolina to fire Mack Brown because he's the best thing that's happened in that football program as I see it in the history of NC football. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorder shows, and of course, all of those are on pick your favorite podcast platform: Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, etc. Also, make sure you check out the partners page at thesportscircus.com too. Lots of great partners over there. And honestly, folks, a lot of those have been with us for many, many, many years. And we have some really good partners. In fact, one of those is Al's No. 1 Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Al's No. 1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't get over there and get some of that great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. All right, welcome back to everybody on all of our network affiliates, whether it's CBS, NBC, Fox, you name it, we're there. All of our independents, big hello to you. 200-odd stations have access to our content, and we'll play it at their discretion, of course, depending on if I'm saying anything bad. No, I'm not kidding. I don't say anything bad on here because I can't. It's all FCC regulated. Also, welcome into everybody on the streaming side, everybody watching on Chicago Food Favorites. That's Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, as well as Hotel Television, and all of our cable television affiliates in select markets: Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Spectrum, Time Warner, Wow Cable Television in select cities across these United States of America. Now, in the last segment, I mentioned North Carolina firing Mack Brown a day after he said he planned to be back the following season, or for the next season. And it's kind of sad. I mean, even though I'm a Duke guy, and I said, okay, fine, let's give a little bit of attention to our colleagues over 8 miles away in Chapel Hill. And Mack Brown, of course, won't be back. And of course, it's the day after. I think it's really crappy. UNC said it's firing the longtime coach. And of course, Brown will still coach the team's season finale against NC State. And they said, quote, Mack Brown has won more games than any other football coach in NC history, and we deeply appreciate all that he's done for Carolina football and our university. Of course, this was said in a statement by Bubba Cunningham, and he continues with, over the last 6 seasons, his second campaign in Chapel Hill, he has coached our team to 6 bowl games, including an Orange Bowl, while mentoring 18 NFL draft picks. He and his wife, Sally, have done an outstanding job supporting the Carolina community, including raising funds for UNC Children's Hospital while hosting other popular events such as the Ladies' Day Clinic. Both have been terrific in leading our program during some incredibly tough stretches, including the tragic passing of wide receiver Tylee Kraft this season. Close quote. Now, Mack Brown is 73. Doesn't mean he can't coach. Maybe the game has changed a little bit on him with this whole transfer portal crap and all this other stuff. And name, image, and likeness. The whole thing, in my opinion, is a big dumpster fire and a money grab on top of it.
Show me the money!
Maybe because Brown doesn't necessarily subscribe to that. Maybe that's why, I don't know, maybe that's why Carolina football's gone a different direction. Don't really know. Nonetheless, this guy was just one of 3 active coaches with a national title, along with Georgia's Kirby Smart and Clemson's Dabo Swinney. The 2024 season was the 6th year of his second stint, and the team has taken a step back in the past couple seasons. Look, they're 6-5, they're bowl eligible, so they've lost 4 straight. Big deal. How many other teams, we just covered in the last segment, have lost many games in a row? We're talking Big Ten teams, SEC teams, and so forth. So be it. So they start out 3-0, they finish 6-5, and one more to go. Maybe they finish 6-6, maybe they finish 7-5, whatever. But UNC gave up a shocking 70 points to James Madison in a 70-50 loss that started that streak of the 4 losses in a row. But in case you're wondering, well, James Madison, but the James Madison Dukes are legit. Those guys are good. So you could complain all you want that they gave up a big number to one club. Everybody's entitled to a bad week, whatever. The point is, this is not a Mack Brown issue. This is a athletic director issue. This is a coaching staff support issue. This is a recruiting issue, recruiting director issue. You can't blame one guy. Okay, so his team took some bad losses. Who cares? There's more to it. UNC, look, are 3-1 in a 4-game stretch, but at the same time, they lose to Boston College, they lose to this team, they lose to that team, they lose to Georgia Tech, whatever. But look, these guys are not that bad. And Brown even said in his statement, quote, "While this was not the perfect time and way in which I imagined going out, no time will ever be the perfect time. I spent 16 seasons at North Carolina and will always cherish the memories and relationships Sally and I have built over serving as head coach. While we had a chance to coach and mentor some great young men and will miss having the opportunity to do that in the future moving forward, my total focus is on helping these players and coaches prepare for the game against NC State and giving them the best chance to win. We want to send these seniors out right, and I hope our fans will show up to do the same." Close quote. You know what, Mac? I'll give you a round of applause. Because Mac is a good human. And, of course, he returned back to coaching 5 years ago after a stint at the Four Letter Network following his departure from Texas after the 2013 season, and after he turned Tulane into a 6-win team 2 seasons after the Green Wave went 1-10 in Mac's first season as a college head coach in 1985. He was hired at Carolina in 1988. And, of course, UNC were 2-20 in his first 2 seasons before posting 8 straight winning seasons. And that goes back to recruiting, folks. If you wonder how that happens, you got to get your recruits in there, and it takes time. Not only do you have to bring your guys in there, and, of course, there was those redshirt issues. So, basically, 1 year sitting, 1 year playing. And so once they're playing, all right, this is the system, and now we're going to turn it around. This is what happens in the recruiting business. People don't realize this. They say, oh, well, these guys are terrible this year. They're terrible last year. Oh, wow, suddenly they're playing over 500 ball. Well, even the Purdue Boilermakers went through that when they hired Joe Tiller. And this is exactly what happened. This goes back to the day. And think about it. Mack Brown is no different. Brown left Carolina for Texas after the program went 10-1 in 1997. In fact, at Texas, Brown took the Longhorns to 2 national title game appearances, and Texas famously won the Rose Bowl over USC at the end of the 2004 season. Of course, to that Vince Young iconic run that seemed to be, I don't think so. That seemed to be a no. Seemed like the referees were intervening in there because maybe they had a little bit of show me the money involved. I'm not really sure what that is. But in any event, look, Texas quarterback Colt McCoy was knocked out of that game with a shoulder injury, and Texas ends up losing to Nick Saban. But the fact is, Mack Brown and Texas won at least 10 games in 9 straight seasons from 2001 to 2009. However, things went sideways after that BCS title game. It should be the BS title game. And Texas was 5-7 the following season, never won 10 games again under Brown. Who cares? Look what he did. And so people are going to bastardize this guy for no reason. And honestly, Brown's firing is the first for a power conference coach this season, as Carolina now has a head start on its coaching search. Very few power conference coaches are expected to lose their job in the offseason thanks to a lack of top-tier candidates and the impeding players' revenue sharing agreement via the House settlement. That's a whole $2 billion situation. So, Mack Brown, we feel for you. It's not right, and honestly, I think it's an abomination. And we think of that recruiting side as well, by the way. And that whole recruiting side, we think of the how many stars is this player as a recruiter? How many stars is that guy? And as I look at it, I say, all right, how much money do these schools blow in recruiting and in other stuff? Why don't we have a line item list of expenditures for these schools that spend so much money on recruiting? And honestly, I think it's a little embarrassing. It's very embarrassing for these universities to call themselves universities when they aren't seemingly pursuing the academics and they're only pursuing athletics. That's a very good point, folks. We'll give that applause go for a little bit further. Because as I look at it, I say, well, you know, some of these schools spend so much money in recruiting, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have it in front of me, but I believed Ohio State has about $120 million annual recruiting budget or something to that effect. Well, if that's the case, you look at Rivals.com and you look at the 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, 3-star recruits, and of course, Ohio State with that big budget. Well, they've got, for next season, they've got 4 5-star recruits, which is more than any other school. They have 17 4-star recruits, and they have 3 3-star recruits. Better yet, they have 4 3-star recruits. So the reality is, when you look at these universities, which I hesitate to call some of them, you say, well, okay, how much money are they spending? That's the big question. And so as we look at these, we say we have a total commits line. How many are the actual students committed? And now one thing I do like is that Army and Navy does have a fair amount of recruits. As a matter of fact, Army has 82 commits and Navy has 55. Now that's really good stuff. It doesn't mean they have 3, 4, 5-star type of players. I mean, Navy has none of those. Army only has 3 3-star recruits. But the total commits, I'm very happy to see that, because honestly, you look at Ohio State, with all their money spent, they only have 25 total commits. That's it. Only 25. Georgia has 26, with 2 5-star recruits, 19 4-star recruits, and 5 3-star recruits. Alabama, under their new regime, has 21 total commits, and they have 3 5-star recruits, 14 4-stars, and 3 3-stars. Auburn has 27 total commits, more than all the others that were just mentioned, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. They have 27 commits, and their average stars, because you take an average of 3, 4s, and 5s, so Ohio State's average is 4 stars for their 25 commits. Auburn's is what? 3.74, right below. And guess what? You actually learn something at Auburn University, in my opinion, rather than Ohio State. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it. We can do this one all day, but we're going to see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.